chosen.
So you look at that. The United States has a yeast infection. No, on a more serious note, I decided to go ahead and put together a nice compilation of everything that we see with Vorona Cirus that turns out to be a little bit odd. You know, old Vorona Cirus. I can't say the actual name of the pathogen on YouTube, but now I'm not going to project onto you my belief about the whole situation, but I will show you a variety of perspectives that starts to paint a picture for some concerning aspects of the whole event. Dana Ashley on YouTube.
That the CDC states clearly on its own website that cases include, here, let me just show you. This is the page that is updated every day. It says Monday through Friday by 4 o'clock with all the cases in the U.S. But see this little asterisk here? This asterisk is very, very important because it clarifies who these cases are, more information about who they are. And it says that cases include those that are presumed positive. Here you see it. Data include both confirmed and presumed positive cases of COVID-19 reported to CDC since January 21st. Presumed, aka not verified with an actual test at all. So the people in this number that they scare you with every night and every day, with the United States all in blood red graphics, this number of people that they say are dying of this. And you know what, guys? Even one person dying from a virus is too much. That should be a given whenever I speak. You should know that that's what I feel. But I have to point out the other side that's not being covered. The number that they say are dying of this haven't even all been tested for this particular strain.
This is a special IFEMA hospital in Madrid, Spain. The celebration of sorts with patients and staff.
Hours. You feel what I'm saying? They didn't swab me or test me or nothing. Reason for visit, fever. Diagnosis, COVID-19. Now look at what my temperature was. I ain't even had no temperature. Come on now. But because I told him I can't taste and smell, he know I got it. Oh, well, that's the number one symptom that's been going around lately is not the smell or taste. So I'm not going to say, we're just going to say you have it and quarantine you for 2 weeks.
Epoch Times headline, CDC removes some information about hydroxychloroquine from website. Previously, this paragraph was included on the CDC website, which gave specific instructions for dosing the medication hydroxychloroquine. On April 7th, this passage as well as 4 paragraphs of information were removed. In total, 409 words were cut down to 56 words. This is the information that was previously shown. This is the information that is shown now. Substantially less. Chiropractor Eric Naput. This chiropractor gives his specific recommendation.
Go do this right now. Go get some zinc, you guys. Go get some zinc, and I need every one of you to go get some either quinine or Schweppes tonic water. I'm telling you, you're gonna hear about this all over the internet now that we're putting it out. I guarantee you're gonna see this. You need to go get yourself some Schweppes tonic water because it has quinine in it. Quinine does a lot of things in the cell. It makes the cell wall more permeable so that it helps get toxins out of the cell and helps get nutrients in. That's why when people have pain in their body, that's why when they have pain, we have them go drink some Schweppes tonic water or get some quinine, and guess what? Pain's gone. It's natural. But guess what? Hydrochloroquine, and we're finding that quinine are working similar-ish to where it opens up the cell and it allows the zinc to get in there. You want to use a Z-Pack? That's fine. Whatever you want to use is fine. But you guys, wake up. Like, we're being lied to so much. And
Duplicated footage issue. In this piece, ABC News took some footage from Italy and bordered out the edges, so some type of editing was done, and passed it off as something happening in, well, you'll see where.
In Pennsylvania, cases are skyrocketing at the rate of 1,000 a day. Governor Tom Wolf is appealing to citizens to help.
So Pennsylvania. Yeah, in this clip, the original Italian footage is shown below in comparison. This hosted by Sky News. This footage up top is CBS claiming New York footage, which is really Italian footage. This clip specifically gives you the name of the Italian hospital.
This is the main hospital in Bergamo in Lombardy province. It's one of the most advanced hospitals in Europe.
Okay, I was wrong with that. They don't give you the name of the hospital, they just tell you the location. This collection here is Unreal News. Specifically, this is describing a girl, but the girl never had a picture taken. So this is like a dishonest Photoshop, actually dishonest clipping using Google image search, but it's not actually done by a news organization. This is a Portuguese boy, and it matches the picture of the boy, and there's an article with the boy in different poses. And this is the same deal with the picture right here, where there's a Google image search and it was attributed to the article, which is about a different person. So don't believe this one. In the most egregious deprivation of liberties, an article surfaced on the 9th stating police raid church's drive-in service, issue $500 tickets to the entire congregation. So effectively, the mayor of Greenville, Mississippi, named Eric Simmons, he placed an executive order that essentially banned services from even having the drive-in option for church. The concept of having a drive-in service was to protect congregants from Vorona Cirus, because they wouldn't be able to go inside and be in close proximity, so less of a chance of transmitting the pathogen. With the executive order, even the seemingly benign stance of sitting in your car and listening to a service was also banned. And because of civil disobedience, the entire congregation received $500 tickets. This statement is the foundation for the executive order.
Puts in place an executive order that all church buildings close for in-person and drive-in church services until the Mississippi shelter-in-place order is lifted by Governor Tate Reeves. Also effective today, the city of Greenville has now issued a city-wide curfew. That curfew goes from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. daily until the Mississippi shelter-in-place order is too lifted by Governor Tate Reeves.
Now here, Dr. Scott Jenson discuss the pressure he feels now to give presumptive diagnoses in the absence of confirmatory testing. I'll listen to him to chime in.
Someone has the pneumonia and it's in the middle of a flu epidemic, and I don't have a test on influenza. I don't diagnose influenza on the death certificate. I will say this elderly patient died of pneumonia. I went to the person in our office who does most of the death certificates over the last 10, 20 years, and I said, does this sound right? I had her look at the documents that I'd printed off, and she said, well, we've always been told that you always put down just facts. You don't put down any probabilities. You don't put any presumptions down. It's just what you know. And
so take his statement in context of the CDC diagnostic guidelines I showed you at the beginning of this video. I'm going to show you a GIF that basically details the economic impact of Vorona Cirus on job loss. It's a graph that basically shows the job loss from the early 1900s up to the present day to give you an idea of the current impact that Vorona Cirus has on job loss. (2000, 2010, 2020). This is weekly initial jobless claims, thousands seasonally adjusted. So, 6,000 or 6 million jobs. CDC provides a text file of data that pertains to deaths from specific causes over different time frames. This data text file can be entered for a graph, and the graph will show influenza and pneumonia death for each of these respective seasons. 2019-2020 is the current season. Noticed starting about 4 weeks ago, the graph takes a downturn. Really, the graph starts its downturn the first few weeks of the year. That's like early January, and then just completely gets lower and lower and lower compared to other years, suggesting that this is a relatively mild flu season and season for pneumonia compared to other previous years. But this deviation is quite unusual, even being somewhat deviated from the norm. This suggests that there's alteration in data intake, or there's an alteration in people's behavior that's making them less likely to have pneumonia or the flu. There's concern of the possibility that some cases are being attributed to being Vorona Cirus instead. And I'm sure you all know this, but Bill Gates has his own position as far as when things get to go back to normal again. Here's his position.
And the government now, but what does opening up look like? Which activities have, like schools, have such benefit and can be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low?
Yeah.
And which activities, like mass gatherings, may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
So in essence, public sporting events under Gates' plan will not come back until a vaccine has been formally approved in approximately 12 to 18 months. Which means, by definition, this is a new normal. In what is not a hot mic moment, Bill Gates expresses his opinion of Donald Trump. He insinuates something very nasty about the President of the United States, and in this case, I sort of wonder if it's possibly a projection.
Bill Gates took questions during a recent Gates Foundation meeting with staff, and he talked about meeting Donald Trump. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, so I never met Donald Trump before he was elected. There was a thing during the election where he and I were at the same place, and I avoided him. But anyway, then he got elected, and so I went to see him in December. He knew my daughter Jennifer because Trump has this horse show thing down in Florida. In fact, he went up and talked to Jen and was being super nice. Like 20 minutes later, he flew in a helicopter to the same place. So clearly,
like, he does this very subtly too. He says like super nice. You have to just watch this.
he had been driven away, but he wanted to make a grand entrance in a helicopter. Anyway, so when I first talked to him, it was actually kind of scary how much he knew about my daughter's appearance. But Melinda didn't like that.
You heard there were some down-tone objections in the audience, as a few of the audience members thought that was a little bit lowbrow, suggesting physical attraction to Gates' daughter. Just seeing how Gates gives this narration, you do get a good sense of Gates' ability to storytell, to use his charisma to convey a story, and also his subtlety.
Too well. Anyway, so I saw him at Trump Tower. I said, hey, science and innovation is a great thing. You should be a leader who drives innovation. And that conversation was about a broad set of things in energy, in health, in education. Pick things you want to do that are big. HIV vaccine, you could, accelerate that. Be associated with innovation. And then the second time I saw him was the March after that, so March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines, and somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things. And I said, no, that's a dead end. That would be a bad thing. Don't do that. Both times he wanted to know if there was a difference between HIV and HPV. So I was able to explain that those are rarely confused with each other.
Now, I'm not sure if Trump really was confused in the difference between HIV and HPV. The insinuation is that Trump is of low intelligence and can't tell the difference between those two pathogens. Trump is not here to defend himself. We'll continue.
When I walked in, his first sentence kind of threw me off. He said, Trump hears that you don't like what Trump is doing. And I thought, wow, but you're Trump.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC.
This individual you heard from clearly going in on his president heads the Global Foundation, which is an important organization for vaccine research around the entire world. Bill Gates, with the help of other professionals from Harvard and Johns Hopkins, are helping to set medical response to pandemics. Of course, he flew with Mr. Epstein on the Lolita Express in 2013. Flight records reveal. Here's Dr. Fauci's perspective on the whole situation, January the 21st.
Obviously, you need to take it seriously and do the kinds of things that the CDC and the Department of Homeland Security are doing. But this is not a major threat for the people in the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about.
It's not a major threat. So 2 days after he made the appearance you just saw, Chinese security forces quarantined an entire city of 11 million people.
I have edited the article for clarity without changing its meaning or implications. And I quote, I work in the healthcare field. Here's the problem. We are testing people for general coronavirus, but we are not testing for any specific strain, such as COVID-19. There are no reliable tests for any specific COVID-19 virus. There are no reliable agencies or media outlets for reporting numbers of actual COVID-19 virus cases. This needs to be addressed first and foremost. Every action and reaction to COVID-19 is based on totally flawed data, and we simply cannot make accurate assessments. That is why you're hearing that most people with COVID-19 are showing nothing more than cold or flu-like symptoms. That's because most coronavirus strains are nothing more than cold or flu-like symptoms. There are a few actual novel coronaviruses, and those cases do have some worse respiratory responses, but still have a very promising recovery rate, especially for those with prior issues. The gold standard in testing for COVID-19, the one that could identify COVID-19, would use laboratory isolated and purified coronavirus particles, free from any contaminants and particles that look like viruses but are not, that have been proven to be the cause of the syndrome known as COVID-19, and obtained by using proper viral isolation methods and controls. But the type of testing being done, some of which are referred to as PCR, do not detect the virus as such. PCR tests, which stands for polymerase chain reaction, basically takes a sample of your cells and amplifies any DNA to look for viral sequences, such as bits of non-human DNA that seem to match parts of a known viral genome.
So I showed you this collection of clips to paint a picture. It's by no means exhaustive of all the irregularities concerning this situation we have here. The easiest conclusion that I can make from the clips is that we have definitely many bad actors. I believe Vorona Cirus is definitely a real problem. I believe there is some incentives to exaggerate the total number of cases for both pecuniary and political interests. I believe the attempt to spread awareness concerning issues surrounding this situation, as well as other situations that have occurred in the past, is largely a waste of time. The collective body of Earth's citizens represent a frog in a pot of water. The water has been boiling for at least 3 hours now. Our basic freedoms, our civil liberties, these viable things are very difficult to keep. The technocracy, the establishment, it's very powerful at this time. A loss of the ability to protect oneself, the requirement for vaccination in order to engage in society, a loss of the diversity of the market, so profound as to be nearly cut in half, as well as other discomforts, usually of an emasculating or shame-inducing nature, lie before us down the halls of time, only 8 months away. That is, unless our republic has a protective force to counter all of the various subtle tactics used in their asymmetric combat, due to technological advancement in organization, both on sides of good and ill will, a cardinal direction for our civilization will be determined. There's great pressure pushing our civilization towards both sides of the spectrum. One force will prevail. If you can guess, I've chosen my side. Have you?